So I'd like to now invite Claudia to also join us so that we can take questions. And thank you both. It's been a fantastic introduction to this very large topic. We got some questions up there, and please encourage you to any other questions. I've seen some in the chat as well. Please put them in the Q&A and help me prioritize which questions to begin with by voting. Make sure that you you vote for the questions that you're most interested in, so I can prioritize those. So the first one that I got comes from Lisa Bertel, and it reads, how are you evaluating the effectiveness of psychoeducation services offered by Foundation House in terms of responding to the needs and achieving the client's psychosocial needs? Claudia, would you like to address that?
Yes, sure. Thank you. It's a very good question. Look, at this point, we haven't undertaken any systematic evaluation because we very much see psychoeducation as part of an engagement process with the clients. So what we're doing is, and I mentioned that before, we, I guess more than evaluation, we take a bit of a, I guess, stock of where the clients are at when we meet with them. So we usually get clients to fill in the WHO5 questionnaire to get a sense of how the clients feel at that point in time. And I guess where we take from the effectiveness of our psychoeducation is where the clients engage beyond in our service, because often the psychoeducation is part of the introduction to our service and the first point of engagement. And so far, look, and that's more anecdotal, but the experience is that it engages clients in conversation about mental health. We found that often clients stay back after the session and they want to talk a bit more and they want to find out a bit more. So, and again, it's not for everyone. So we also have people that say, no, this is not for me now, thank you, not now. And that's where we are sort of at the moment in terms of evaluating the effectiveness of our program. And it's something now that the initial crisis, I guess, response has settled and we've set up our programs, we're going to look at more systematic evaluation of I guess, our programs that we're offering.
Thank you, Claudia. And of course, if at any time you want to come in, Nuria, and vice versa, please feel free to do so, okay?
Yeah, I mean, psychoeducation is a very important part or element of our work. Specifically that most of our clients are not familiar with the concept of counseling, concept of mental health, their impact on them. So as simple as possible, if we can provide psychoeducation in a stage, like I've been providing psychoeducation during the assessment for evacuees, and it's been really helpful because just at least they manage and they learn how to manage some symptoms and plus also to understand what's going on, what's happening to their mind, what's happening to their body, and also normalizing those symptoms because sometimes they're concerned that they're going mad or crazy, but just normalizing those symptoms. Like for instance, I mentioned in my presentation that there were parents that they presented that their children were just scared with sudden noise and stuff like that, and just explaining that it makes a huge differences for them. Yeah.
Thank you. Let's move on to our second question, which reads, what is the best way for so is this changed? Sorry, I'll go to the next one that's got the most votes. The votes, number of votes suddenly changed. I appreciate that the project talked about the importance of good mental health while incorporating other topics. But I wanted to know, how did the clients respond to psychoeducation, which is we're talking about that just now, Nuria, as many newly arrived clients I have worked with often decline mental health support services. Nuria just commented very much on that topic. So Claudia, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, look, I think what I've learned over the years working at Foundation House, but particularly in this project, is the importance of engaging workers from the community to engage the clients in the conversation. So obviously in the past, I've worked with clients from Afghan background or other cultures and encounter the similar hesitation when it comes to talking about mental health. But I just find it really helpful if you have people from the community sending the message out and explaining it in a language that resonates with the clients. Like I said before, you often have to give some purpose around that as well. Like Nuria, how you said, all parents are worried about their kids, and they listen if they want to help their kids to feel better and not wake up from nightmares or not be scared to jump on the train. I think it's really essential to give some meaning to when we talk about mental health, how we can improve someone's life.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. Anything else you'd like to add, Nuria?
No, I mean, I've mentioned it before about psychoeducation, but the whole concept of counseling is a new concept for Afghans. So even introducing that concept requires sometimes to be introduced in a culturally appropriate way for Afghans, so they can understand what we use different things and metaphors and everything. So to introduce that concept, and it's okay to talk to someone. It's okay if you're not okay. It's okay not to be okay and seek help as well. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's so important to normalize that experience. I mean, after all, we're talking about very extreme experiences, and you know, in a way, it's normative to feel distressed in that context. And another question for you, Nuria, that's got a lot of votes. How do you balance self-care and boundaries working with your own community and with trauma that has also impacted on yourself?
That's a very challenging question and very difficult question. I mean, I'm quite good in self-care and my boundaries, but this crisis happened that not only myself, but all of our Afghan colleagues, like we worked, I mean, I can't say across the clock, but quite long hours. And we had to deal with a crisis that we were not prepared for it, like the world wasn't prepared for it, but also we work behind our original jobs and job description. For instance, in my job, I don't do community development, but I had to. So basically, obviously, we were affected. We were in pain as well. I mean, what helped me that I always have reflective practice with myself. I was well aware that I was working long hours and I was dealing with a crisis, and I was asking myself what I'm doing, why I'm doing, what I'm getting. And for me, I'm always in terms of doing stuff instead of just sit back and do nothing and being helpless, because that gives me inspiration, motivation when I help others as well. So I try to include some self-care measurement regardless of the circumstances. For instance, I always made sure that I go for walk, even if it was my lunch break or I didn't take for a walk. And plus, to return to support when I need it. Speak with we were talking a lot with our other Afghan colleagues. We were debriefing, we were exchanging information, we were supporting each other from community development team and other team, and then other colleagues overall. We have supervision, and I do have my own therapy as well. So combination of all of that, even though it has been tough, but somehow help us to have a productive work. Just the inspiration and the things, the changes that you bring in the life of people. And so for me, that was really inspiring and has been inspiring as well. And awareness, I have been really very reflective in my work with Afghans, in particular in the last 6 months as well. Cover really good reflective practice.
Next question comes from Niraja. The previous one came from Sarah Bailey, by the way. And you know, she reflects on the fact that Afghan community has experienced so many wars and civil unrest that is still ongoing, of course. So as a clinician, how can we best support the hopelessness and helplessness that these individuals may continue experiencing? And that's both.
All right. Do you want to answer, or do you want me to answer, Claudia?
No, I let you go first, Nuria.
I think neither of you can escape this one. So yeah,
well,
one of you go
is
first.
there any way to escape? Because it's a really difficult question.
Yeah.
But anyway, what helped, like I know helplessness and hopelessness in being in that line, but also one of the things that helped just to have a genuine connection with Afghans, that we are with them, not against them, and empathically connecting and validating their experiences, and then gradually taking it and acknowledging, like anyone else in those circumstances will feel helpless and hopeless. But what we can do together, Afghans are collective culture, so I use the word we, then I and you. What we can do together to do something like and to do something as a whole, as a together. If we can take a step, we can take a part, we do a small step, even if it's a small step, but still like even helping someone else. So it's kind of trying to find some sort of inspiration, some sort of reference point, some their own strengths, like what had helped them in the past. What I mean, for most Afghans, like their faith is a very strong element, like because of their Islamic faith, that they believe that everything is coming from God. So just kind of linking them back to that, and in any other strengths, like they're very family oriented. If it's a family, it's a tough question, but finding a reflective conversation, starting and reference point with our clients. I can disclose something personal. My father used to tell me, and be as strong as the mountains of Afghanistan, which is a big thing to be. But during all my life, I can't disclose my age, but you can see from my work experiences, that's quite a lot. But during all my life, with all adversity that happened in life, I always went to this reference point. So it's good to search for these things from stories of the survivors, from little things that holds on people, and acknowledge that it's tough, and also put them back into their strengths and resilience as well, work on their assets as well.
Thank you, Nuria. Claudia.
Yeah, Nuria, when you were speaking, I was just reflecting on I guess my experience as a counselor that is not from the Afghan community, and I always found, similar to what you were saying, there was a lot of appreciation for people to care and to listen and to listen to the stories, and I think we can't underestimate the value of bearing witness to the experiences that clients have had, and especially for me, for someone who's not from the community, haven't had the same experience, that I bear witness and take account of what has occurred, and that there is a certain degree of healing. There's a lot of pain in it, in sharing, and also as a practitioner to listen to what had occurred, but there's also healing in that, and I found giving clients the space to share and has an incredible impact. And often as a clinician, we feel quite helpless ourselves, because we feel like we just want to make it better for the client. We want it to go away, but it doesn't go away. It's here to stay. The experiences and the memories, and I think that can really help. And one other aspect is, and that's been a real I guess, honor of leading this project, because about 80% of the team members of the project are of Afghan background. So I've been really privileged to learn a lot in a short amount of time. But Zabi, who can't be here with us tonight, we were talking recently about Nowruz. And as a team, we're talking about, so because someone was saying that they were working with young people who feel like they couldn't celebrate Nowruz this year because they had family members overseas who were suffering. But he was saying it's an important thing for us as an Afghan community in Australia to celebrate it as a form of protest, because the Taliban this year forbidden celebration in Nuria. I don't know if you can say this, because there were a lot of celebrations in Melbourne, and with a particular point of protesting against the Taliban and saying you can't stop us celebrating Nowruz.
Yes, it is. Yeah, thank you. Similarly, it is in Sydney and also in all part of the world. If you look social media, it's so many celebration of Nowruz because the Taliban banned it, Nowruz, and it's considered an Islamic practice, and which creates emotions. Fatana, I'm sure she's here. Fatana and I, we had a good cry about it on the day of Nowruz in the morning when we had our morning chat because we were really affected. But then we say no. Let's pull together, let's have our celebration, do what we can do. And then also there are functions like SARS also kind of had some outings for Afghan girls for Nowruz. And then and also we like other organizations have organized functions for Nowruz, which we are going to attend this Sunday, Afghan community, which is because just so it's like it's another level of loss and grief, like I mentioned before. Like it's something really like taking out Afghan flag or not celebrating Nowruz. It affects the core value of Afghans. That's why regardless of the circumstances, we need to provide something or some value that they can have that sort of celebration and feel okay about it, because otherwise it's total loss, you know.
Thank you, Nuria. Thank you, Claudia. I might throw in some words myself because I just attended with Nuria actually and others as well, an Afghan function. And I was chatting to the ambassador from Afghanistan and some community members. And I found myself, asking that question, where to from Afghanistan now? And then I realized that I was very much projecting my own hopelessness and helplessness about the situation. The answer that I got was actually very full of hope and plans, and basically then taking the long-term approach and that long view with confidence that they will regain the gains that were made in Afghanistan over time, and that this is an unfortunate chapter that they will overcome as well. Obviously, we need to respect and work with the stress of people, while at the same time, acknowledging and respecting that resilience and hope. So thank you, guys. I'll move to the next question, which is Councillor Lisa Henry, who's the Secretary General of the International Rehabilitation Council for Torture and Victims, better known as the IRCT, with 160 members, of course, both organizations, PFST and STATS, members. And the question reads, what role did Afghan torture survivors who have been or are in rehabilitation play in order to support others, speak out, etc.? Did this involvement of survivors bring agency to these survivors? And maybe, Nuria, I can start with you because you're okay.
Actually, it's an like Afghans, like they have done an incredible job in supporting other survivors, like by collecting clothes and donation in money, but also for supporting them, like emotionally supporting them. Most of this Afghan evacuees live in Bella Vista, which is like literally 5 minutes from my house, but I get so tempted to cook a big Afghan food and take it to them, but somehow I have to ban myself from doing this, but other Afghans have done this. Also, I know one of my former clients that he has an association now, and he is one of the leading people that he really helped a lot new arrivals, and then which I'm really proud of him, but also other members of Afghan community, because they feel their pain. So it's not something new, and they want to do something. They want to help them. They want to support them, and with generous donations and emotional support, and trying to help them with English, filling out some application forms for their loved ones to sponsor. So they've been actively involved in that, and which is great to see it here.
Claudia?
Yeah, I'm in very similar situation in Melbourne. Obviously, the communities have really stepped in and stepped up to support the new arrivals. I think for us as organizations, though, I think there's also great opportunity to employ Afghan workers right now, to get them the opportunity to do what they're doing anyway, but also doing that in a professional capacity, to to help upskill the communities, to give people opportunities to work in this space. And we've been quite fortunate that, like I said before, yeah, a large part of our team that we gathered to work in this project is of Afghan background. And I think it really shaped the project in a really positive way, because it's given agency to the survivors to help their community, and they've taken it in a direction that it wouldn't have gone without their input. So I think there's this real role for us as systems and organizations to also support the communities by employing the people in our workforce.
Thank you. And look, I might throw another perspective as well. Certainly FAST played a very active role advocating with government for government to create an advisory body of Afghan people, of Afghan community members. Paris Aristotle, my counterpart in the Victoria Foundation, spearheaded that, and is actually the chair now of a committee which is made up of about, I think it's 8, Nuria?
Sorry?
8 representatives of different sectors of the Afghan community, all of them, refugees themselves and survivors. And that's played a very big role. And a similar committee was also established in New South Wales, and we again played, an active role in pushing for that, so that, survivors could have a direct voice with government and influencing, to the extent that, a government can be influenced, to pay attention to this crisis. And certainly some substantial gains were obtained in terms of some of the things that came up. Let's move to the next question, and then we've got lots of questions. We won't be able to go through them all, but I'll go through it in order of the votes. It's from Wendy Anderson, and it reads, I'd love to hear some useful culturally appropriate metaphors that we could use in the area of mental health with the Afghan community.
Okay, so should I go ahead or? Yeah, okay. I mean, different metaphors and that introduce the concept of counseling. First of all, to just normalize the concept. For instance, I'm Afghan. I use this the word we, but also with my non-Afghan clients that they don't have concept of counseling. Then I say that many of our clients that they're coming from cultures that when they had happy moments or difficult times, they used to talk with their family, friends, and others. But sometimes because of migration, they may not have those people around them. And also sometimes their family members have their own problems that they don't have time. So here in Australia, we have a system that you can talk with a professional in a confidential environment, and you can talk about anything. It's not necessary to be difficult things, but anything that you would like to share. One of the metaphor that I use is pressure cooker, because Afghans love their pressure cooker because they want well done, very soft, tender meat. That's why they use a pressure cooker. So I say it's like when we have pressure cooker and it's continually heat underneath, and we don't take the pressure, it will explode. But if we gradually take the pressure off by just moving a little bit that head, then it will not explode. So it's like talking is getting out of your chest gradually things that are bottling up there, that it's getting there. But if you don't speak or share it with someone, sometimes it gets to a level that it might explode. But if you gradually take in a time that is right for you, any worries, I don't even use problem, I use any worries or concern that you have, gradually the pressure will ease. This is one of the metaphors that I use.
Claudia, I think your perspective as a non-Afghan is also very important.
Yeah. No, I like that one with the pressure cooker. I mean, one thing I used a lot with children, young people, because that's probably where the focus of my clinical work was, and we often would do that quite practically. I would talk to them about, the water and, the ball, and we would actually get some water and a ball and something and say, like, the ball is like, your mental health or your problems or your trauma experiences. And you put so much force in it trying to push it underwater, but as soon as you let go, it pops up again and it's there again. So that's a metaphor that I used a lot with children, young people, and we sort of did it in the session, and they could really relate to that, and that obviously counseling is a way to try to help people to use less force and rather than suppress it, trying to integrate it. But I think, like, another metaphor I've used that some clients, not only Afghan, could relate to is that if you have a broken leg, you go and see a doctor and the doctor helps mending it. But if you have if you have a broken heart, a broken soul, that also needs mending, and that's what a counselor can help with. And sometimes these medical metaphors have helped people to make sense.
Yeah. Thanks, Claudia. That medical kind of concept I use similar to that as well. It's quite it helps a lot, because often Afghan clients may call us doctors or something as well, because they don't have concept of counseling. But just medical example really helps a lot. Like, if you have a kidney problem, you go to the doctor. If you have a wound, you go in. So that's a great example. Thanks.
Thank you. Let's move to the next question, which is very similar. So, perhaps if you see whether there's anything else that you'd like to add, can you elaborate on how to make counseling more culturally appropriate, please? And you've already touched on that. So,
yes, we did.
Other pearls of wisdom you want to throw that way, or shall we move to the next one?
I don't want to be too prescriptive. All of those cultural safety measurements that we do, we need to do it with Afghan clients as well. And we go with curiosity, with a non-judgmental attitude, and learn from them, because Afghans are also subdivided into subcultures and subgroups, and every person or every individual is different as well. But the common things, like, for instance, which we do it with other clients as well, if we see them face to face, offer them a cup of tea or something, or coffee, like the hospitality, gathering with food, with groups and stuff, which we do it anyway. So it's kind of things that are, specifically, food is an integral part of Afghan culture. So I would highly recommend with any functions to be involved in that, but I'm sure we are all doing it already. So yeah.
I'll just take one more question, and we actually a couple of minutes over time, so maybe we can do that very, very brief. Do the Afghans who have escaped to Australia feel completely safe, or do they still have personal fear that the Taliban will discover where they are? As their supporters, should we be actively protecting this privacy? Any thoughts?
Okay.
Well, I can just really briefly say that from conversations I had with counselors is that there is an element of fear still, and partly it's a re-triggering of past experiences where former clients have come to us, say they're feeling really fearful of Taliban coming to Australia now and having a lot of nightmares about that. But also for some of the new arrivals, we heard there's a very real fear of maybe Taliban infiltrating Australia and coming back. That's just some of the stories I've heard from the counselors that are working with the clients.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it does come up from time to time. But the clients that I've seen is more or less fear about the safety of their loved ones, because those evacuees, the ones that I assisted in from my conversation with other colleagues, most of them 1 or 2 family members or more are linked with Australian government services in Afghanistan. Either they worked as an interpreter or security guard or anything else. And that's why they are afraid, and they have this fear, which is legitimate fear, that their family members that they are in Afghanistan are going to be targeted because of their work with foreign aids. So that's which is quite possible as well. But also, obviously, I mean, I had clients that they had nightmares of the Taliban, and it was reflected in their sleeps, but also fear that if the Taliban will expand, that would come anywhere else as well.
I must just from a management perspective, this is absolutely crucial to most of our client groups. So all FAST agencies take a lot of effort in protecting, the confidentiality of our clients. In some cases, where people have identified particular fears, and obviously we have had some high-profile clients, we would take extraordinary precautions because, as we know, there's such a thing as cyber warfare going on, and so we know that many client records can be vulnerable if in certain situations. So we take that very seriously as services.
It is, yeah.
We have to end now. It's I was so caught up in the conversation that I overlooked looking at the clock. It's now 5 minutes past. Just answer one brief question. Does Stars in New South Wales carry out similar work to Foundation House in Victoria? Yes, absolutely. And there's a torture and trauma service that belongs, that is a member of FAST in every state and territory in Australia, and we all work in a very collegiate manner and very similarly, actually, in terms of how we carry out the services. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I'll give you a very brief ad. We got a second masterclass on the 18th of May at 6:30 p.m. And the title is Re-traumatization of LGBTIQA+ clients, survivors of torture and trauma, impacts, clinical implications, and treatment. The guest speaker will be Elvis Close, and I hope to see most of you there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Victoria, Claudia, it's been a fantastic couple of presentations and really great questions to really great answers. So thanks everyone for your participation tonight, and look forward to, not see you in these webinars. I still miss that face-to-face seeing you, but thank you for your participation and
thank you.
what you all do in every way. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks everyone. Thanks, Claudia.
Thank you.
Everyone else. Thank you.